with the starfish lessons, I also started first with an interactive read aloud. And I did that for two reasons. One, I wanted to build their knowledge on starfish because for almost all of my students, they had really limited background knowledge about starfish. We live in Tennessee, and so very few of them have been to the ocean. Actually, not many of them have been to an aquarium either where they could see starfish. So I felt like it was important that before I asked them to engage in this informational text, that I could provide some form of content support. So I chose to do that through an interactive read aloud. Something else interactive read aloud allowed me to do was to model the thinking processes that I wanted my students to practice when they were reading the text. So in the first lesson, it looked like me thinking aloud about the facts that I was learning about starfish and the questions I was having. And in the next lesson, I was able to model identifying starfish characteristics and making inferences, drawing on evidence from the text about how those characteristics helped the starfish survive in the ocean. And I think having that model also provided a layer of support so that my students were more prepared to do that kind of thinking on their own when they were reading the shared reading text. So with that first lesson, the focus was a bit more on ELA standards. So using text-dependent questions to recall facts from the text to make deeper inferences based on information provided from both text and illustrations. And then the second day, through text-based study, we really oriented around a science standard. The second grade science standard about how animals have different characteristics and how those characteristics enable them to live in their environment and make them well suited for that environment. So that was really the inquiry question that I posed, and that inquiry question was the anchor for our entire lesson. And along the way, whether our focus was on ELA standards or applying ELA standards in service of science standards, I provided many opportunities for my students to share the text with me in different ways. So read aloud, closed reading, choral reading, echo reading, partner reading, and then lots of chances every day to independently read the text. And I think giving them those different opportunities, those different level of supports along the way, not only assisted their comprehension, but helped make the text accessible to all of my students. I think another important piece with these lessons was really connecting writing to reading. So on both days, students had an opportunity to write in response to text. On the first day, they wrote about facts that they remembered about starfish, and they also wrote the questions that they had. And on the second day, based on the collaborative chart that we did together, they wrote an introductory sentence and then listed facts that they learned about starfish characteristics and how those characteristics helped the starfish to survive. And that's directly aligned with our second grade writing standard on informational pieces.